Triple E EDC back again with another knife video. This is the Spyderco Ikuchi. It is a Paul Alexander design. This is the CQI version. There's been two versions of this. The original had a little bit of action issues, and this is the updated CQI version. For those who don't know, Spyderco calls it the constant quality improvement, where they're constantly upping the quality of their knives, of their designs as they go along, and just re-examining them to make sure they're keeping up with the market. In any event, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons right off the bat. Let's start with some other Spydercos. Let's start with the Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3. So you can see this knife is deceptively large for being as slim as it is. It is not that much smaller than the PM2 and is actually a little bit larger than the Para 3. It fits right in between. Here is the Spyderco Delica. You can see it's larger than the Delica. Benchmade Griptilian. So it's actually pretty much, just slightly smaller than the Griptilian. Pretty much the same size blade-wise. A little bit smaller in the handle. And let's do another Benchmade here. The Benchmade Bugout. So the reason I bring up the Bugout is this is a lightweight knife. Just like the Bugout is, although the Bugout is obviously lighter. I'll discuss that a little later in the video. And for posterity's sake, let's look at some other slim knives. The CRKT LCK and the Benchmade 940. So these are probably the best size comparisons for the Spyderco Ikuchi. They're both, this is just, in the end, it's a slim profile, long blade, or decently long blade knife, just a very, very good medium to large size knife that is in between, size-wise, the Benchmade 940 and the CRKT LCK. So let's talk about the good of this first. So first things first, the design on this is really interesting. So one of the things that I love about it is the slim profile right off the bat. This is a very slim, gentleman-like knife because unlike most knives, which have the blade protruding out from the handle, all of these knives have the blade protruding out. The blade on the Spyderco Ikuchi is completely enveloped within the handle other than the actuating wheel. So that's definitely a huge plus for the design. Also, it has this nice clip here that is the Spyderco wire clip. I've said on some other knives I don't like the wire clip, but on this knife it actually works very well. It really gets in and out of the pocket very easily. It shows very little of the knife sticking up, and it's so skinny that it looks a little bit like, it could be something else like a pen or something. Not quite like the CRKT CEO, but it does look like a very slim knife in the pocket. The slim profile is another huge plus. If you look at this against the Para 3, you can see that it is much, much slimmer than that. And you can look at it against the Benchmade 940. It's even slimmer than the 940 because it doesn't have the blade sticking out. And the CRKT LCK, again, slimmer than that. So this is a very, very slim carry knife. It's a lightweight knife. Not quite as light as the Bugout, but it is a great shorts knife. This knife is excellent for shorts. It's excellent for slacks because it's not too heavy on slacks either. The wire clip and the texturing on the scales won't destroy your pockets, which is another huge plus for slacks, another huge plus for the gentleman's carry. Also, the blade shape on this is very, it looks a little formal almost. Japanese formal, which goes, very well in the gentleman's carry style. This is a carbon fiber peel ply laminate. I believe it's the same laminate they use on the smock. This is knife is from the Taichung, Taiwan factory. They have a penchant for using that G10 carbon fiber laminate, but I know a lot of other people complain about that. I actually don't see that as a drawback, and it usually feels pretty good. As far as the other things about it, I do like the hole on here. It doesn't really add anything to the knife. and a lot of people think it's sort of unnecessary. The real reason it's there is because you have the hole here, which is just Spyderco's trademark hole. But this sort of continues out here. People have made jokes. They put a lock through it, and they say, hey, I've got a lock on the knife. You know, it's funny, but I really don't mind the hole here. It actually does help because I'll actually pinch both sides of the hole and do the actuator. I'm not sure if that was intended as part of the design, but it actually works functionally very well to do that as a good place to put your fingers while you're actuating the wheel here. Probably the best thing about this knife is the action, and that's assisted very much by the wheel. So let's take a look at what it is. So first of all, the CQI version, they updated so that it would have this fall shut action. And it does have a compression lock on here, just like a lot of the other Spyderco knives, the Para 3 and the PM2. This has a compression lock like those, but we'll get to, it's a little bit different than those as well, and we'll get to that later as well. So the actuator on here is this, and this is where the mechanical engineering comes in. It's a very, very jimped up, and so it does take some getting used to because it is very jimped up, but it's this wheel. And the reason this is great is because with the detent is dialed in pretty well on this, and when you pull this, the friction from the jimping causes it to just fire out with the detent. So once you break the detent, you know, if you stop it, it's not going to open all the way, but if you pull it down, it just really fires out. And the reason it fires out is because on a flipper, let me show you, let me demonstrate on a flipper here. Let's find a good flipper to demonstrate on. So let's look at this. This is a VDK impaler. So on a flipper, you know, if you don't open it all the way, you know, or the detent's not good, it flies out slowly, right? And if you pull it down hard, it comes out much faster. But it loses some momentum because as you pull down and go here, you've lost, once the knife breaks, you've lost the push you had on the flipper tab. And so it's like a batter in baseball without the follow through on the bat, right? This wheel gives you the follow through that a baseball player would have swinging all the way through the pitch. So when you pull it down, it doesn't stop until the top of this. If you start at the top, you don't lose traction until it's all the way through. And so it really just fires out. It's a really ingenious design. So that's the best thing I think about this. The blade here is also surprisingly useful. When I first saw the blade shape on this, I thought immediately it wasn't for me, it wasn't going to be functional. I thought the size on it wasn't going to be good. And I thought, why do I want a knife like that? Saw a couple videos on it, saw it for a good price on the secondary market, and figured I'd go ahead and grab it. But after having it in hand and really getting a chance to use it, the blade here is actually pretty good. It's a flat ground blade, and it's S30V. And S30V, you guys know I don't knock S30V. I love S30V, and I think anybody who knocks it is just, is just overcompensating a little bit. I mean, while really cool, S90V and other, other steels like HAP 40, Sus 410, laminate, they're like sexy steels, Maximate. And I do like them and they have their place, but S30V is a very good steel. There's nothing wrong with it. It's premium. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise that it's not. S30V is good. That being said, the gentleman carry on this, it sort of lends to, you want to have the most premium materials. So I would have actually preferred if this was full carbon fiber and something like a 20 CV, just because of that aspect of it. Would that really impact the use of it that much? Probably not. But that's really my only knock on the blade. The blade itself is actually really good. So that's sort of a discussion of some of the good about the blade and some of the bad about the blade. My biggest knock on this is going to be the ergonomics. The ergonomics are not stellar on this. You really feel like something's missing right around here where it gets skinny. It's flat over here, doesn't really leave much to be desired for the ergonomics, but other than that, this is a pretty great knife. There is one other knock that I want to talk about, which I told you I'd get to in a minute, which is the compression lock. You can see on the Para 3, for example, there's a huge difference in the cutout for access. So on the Para 3, it's really easy to actuate because you have very good access to this, back liner lock, which is essentially what a compression lock is. I know Spyderco fans don't like it when you call it that, but that's basically what it is. And here you don't have that cutout, so you have to get used to it, and it does take some getting used to. But once you get used to it, it's really not bad at all. Really not bad at all. It also is, I'll also use my nail to sort of flick it back and forth as a fidget toy a little bit sometimes. But it's really not bad at all to get access to it. You can get access. It is sufficient. I do believe that it would have detracted from this knife having a huge cutout. You have the hole here. You wouldn't be able to have the hole here if you had that. You also would have basically half a scale here. So I think they did make the right choice, making it a little smaller, but you will hear people complain about that. It's not something necessarily that I wanted to complain about. Other than that, things to note on it, this is tip up only, is right or left tip up only, but it is tip up only, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is, I think, to talk about on this. If you guys own the Ikuchi, let me know in the comments, let me know what you think about it. This is going on the recommended list. The only thing I haven't mentioned, I guess, is the price. The price is $140. This is totally worth it at $140. I think this is a great option at $140. If you look at some of the other things that are available, I think you'll agree. That being said, if it was $150 or $160 and you put those premium materials on it, that would be a home run out of the park if you had the full carbon fiber and like a 20 CV blade, for example. Pay 20 more bucks, put that on there, that's great. This would be interesting as a sprint run in something else. But anyway, that's something to note. One other thing I will say on the ergonomics before I go, I'm sorry to keep you guys waiting, is even though I'm knocking the ergonomics a little bit, these ergonomics are better than the smock. So if you're looking for a skinny carry from Taiwan that has that's in that price range, and from Spyderco, I do recommend this more than the smock as an EDC. If you're looking for a fidget toy, they're both great. The smock is a little bit more fidgety, but I think you'll find yourself enjoying this one more. In any event, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget that I have a giveaway going on. It ends Saturday. Right now it's early Friday morning, about 1 in the morning. So make sure you get your entries in if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching.